Well, we remain under this AccuWeather alert as severe storms are moving through. This is a live look at 476 at Avondale Road in Nether Providence, Delaware County. This is an area where the storms have passed through for the most part, but you can see the damage left behind. There is quite a bit of ponding, some flooding, I guess you'd say, on that right side of your screen right now where traffic is backed up. It is slowing down. The headlights facing are going northbound, so this would be the southbound side of the highway here. Nether Providence here, where we have some significant flooding right on 422, this major thoroughfare, slowing down traffic as we speak right now as this system continues to cause problems.
And Brittany was talking about the threat for flash flooding, and we're seeing some of those issues right now, Brittany.
You're right about that, and I've been trying to glance over to our computer because we get updates coming through from emergency managers to the National Weather Service. I did just see one report that there are multiple water rescues ongoing in Westchester right now, and then there are also in Delaware County multiple water rescues, and one of the emergency management officials is reporting that there have been a few structures that have been struck by lightning. So we're going to try and get some more information on that. There's a lot to go over. I do want to start off with the flash flooding issues because parts of Chester County, they've actually upped the verbiage on this warning. This flash flood warning has a considerable threat, and rightfully so. We're getting those reports of water rescues, but about half of the counties in our viewing area are under a flash flood warning as the intensity of the rainfall is really unfolding at this very moment. We can actually look at some of the rainfall estimates. This is computer generated, but you can kind of see this bullseye area, actually a few spots now popping up, not just in Chester County, but also as you work your way to the east into Delaware County, around Philadelphia. That's where we've had rainfall reports already around 2 inches. Keep in mind, this is coming down in about 30 minutes to 1 hour. When you have that intensity of rainfall, all the water's got to go somewhere, and it's just sitting there, and that's where you get the flash flooding concern. Just so you can get your bearings with where we are with thunderstorms right now, the worst of it is over for some of our western suburbs, Lancaster County through Berks County, even Lehigh County, Northampton County. I'm going to give you the clear right now. The worst of it is right over the I-95 corridor and pressing into South Jersey. So here you can see Storm Tracker 6 live. This is a 30-minute radar scan, and notice that the storms are quickly moving their way to the east, but we have those intense rainfall rates that are coming down right now. This is also generated with some of our model data where we get some of these whites that are popping up just south of Philadelphia. That's what went through Chester County, and that's where we're getting rainfall rates of 2.5 to 3 inches in 1 hour. So that's why the flooding risk is getting a little bit higher right now. Also, some intense rainfall rates as you work your way north of Philadelphia through parts of Montgomery, also through Bucks County. And we don't want to exclude New Jersey here. The worst of it is starting to press its way into your area. So spots like Gloucester, Woolwich Township, Camden. But this cell down here that we've been watching move out of Salem County into Cumberland County, this is also showing some signals that there could be some large hail associated with this as it works its way to the east. A lot of thunder and lightning, a lot of heavy rainfall. But here you can see, I'd estimate this looks a lot worse than when I kind of populated this. Probably looking at hail between 1 to 1.5 inches right now with this cell that's right over 49, the Mickles Mill area, also Stowe Creek. So there's a lot going on right now. What's really not helping with the intensity of the rain are dew points. We've got tropical air in place, so there is a lot to squeeze out of the atmosphere right now. Today is the worst day of the severe weather. Tomorrow we do have a cold front coming through, but I think it's just going to be spotty thunderstorms. So today is really the worst of it. Things do get better. The AccuWeather alert, we're going to hold that for a few more hours. 80 degrees if we're lucky to get there today. A soupy start tomorrow. Scattered thunderstorms, 86. And then that cold front will drop the humidity considerably on Sunday, 76 degrees, and our temperatures are going to go back into the 70s. So I'm going to walk my way over here. I've just been told that we have a tornado warning. So let me go ahead and switch our shows right now. And get some of the information coming in from the National Weather Service. So just bear with me here as we go from one show into another. You gotta love live TV and working with what we got. All right, the tornado warning. Let me go ahead and put that up here. Excuse me, guys. This is all coming into me just as I walk over. So we're gonna put the radar back up. and get that tornado warning. All right, we've got severe thunderstorm warning, and then that red polygon there is our tornado warning. So you can see that on the screen right now. The information coming in from the National Weather Service in Mount Holly, New Jersey. A tornado warning was issued at 12:22, so that was just 2 minutes ago. At this point, a severe thunderstorm is capable of producing a tornado that was located over Newport Meadows or near Bridgeton, moving southeast at 30 miles per hour. So you can see that red polygon there for western Cumberland County and also south central Salem County. Please excuse me, I'm a little out of breath here. All right, let's go ahead and track what we can here with this cell. This is the one that I was just mentioning that did have a good amount of hail associated with it. You can see the storm in question here right around the area of Stowe Creek and also Upper Deerfield in Bridgeton, and we can go ahead and put a track on this cell here. Like the National Weather Service said, this is moving east at about 30 miles per hour. So we're going to extend that and look at the timestamp here. Let's do this a little bit more due east. All right, so some communities within this area of South Jersey, you're looking at 1229 in the area of Shiloh, 1234 in Rammel Mill, 1238 for Carl's Corner, and then the Fordville area by 1243, Rosenhain, 1246. Again, we are on the air right now. We just came out of our live weather segment, giving you the latest information on what's going on with the severe weather, and the National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning for Cumberland and also Salem County, New Jersey. I know it's been a while since we've had this kind of severe weather around here, so just as a reminder, what you should do if you happen to be in any of those locations, you want to make sure that you're seeking shelter now, and you want to go into a basement or a closet. What you're really trying to do is get yourself into the most interior room that you might have in your household. So you want to find a place that's away from windows. I know some of you might be listening on the TV right now. This is a good time to grab your phone. Hopefully you have the 6ABC app downloaded. You can use that app. You can live stream us. We just want you to get to your safe location right now. Of course, stay indoors, and you want to get under a sturdy object and stay there until this tornado threat is no longer in place. We're going to be staying on the air for the entirety of this tornado warning until the National Weather Service deems it's safe for us to give you all the all clear. So we're going to go back and show you some of the severe thunderstorm watch while I repopulate the tornado warning. Pretty much our entire viewing area is under a severe thunderstorm watch until 5 o'clock. We've been talking about how these thunderstorms have been producing, damaging wind gusts, also flooding downpours too. And here we are at this point this afternoon with that tornado warning from the National Weather Service. So we'll go back ahead and look at the radar scan here, and we'll populate the warning outline. And you're going to see a lot of different colors here as we kind of zoom into that tornado warning. And I'm going to go ahead and switch this over. And let's try and clean it up a little bit so we can just get the tornado warning on here. So we're going to take off the severe thunderstorm warnings just because this is our immediate concern right now. The tornado warning in the area of Salem and also Cumberland County. At this point from the National Weather Service, nothing has been spotted visually. We hope that everybody that's watching right now is in their safe location. We don't want anybody trying to get any pictures or any video for us. Right now, you just really need to be in that safe spot that we just went over here on the air. So I'm going to take off the severe thunderstorm warnings once again. And let's go ahead and get an update on the track here with this cell. We haven't gotten any update on the progression of the storm, if it's moved any differently. So we're still going to monitor this moving to the southeast at 30 miles per hour. So let me take this a little bit farther to the southeast compared to how I did it last time and get a few more communities on here. All right. The time right now is 12:29, so you can see Stowe Creek at this point. I hope you're listening from your safe place. The worst of the storm that is capable of producing that tornado is right over you. Shiloh, 12:33, Bowentown, 12:37, Bridgeton, 12:41, Fairton, 12:46, and Center Grove around 12:56. And again, at this point, nothing confirmed, no new updates just yet from the National Weather Service. And what I'm also going to try and do here is look at the storm movements. Let's go ahead and erase the tracker that we just had. And we will look at the storm relative velocity. This gives us an indication of the motions of the storm, with the wind moving toward the radar and away from the radar. At this point, it looks like we have some broad rotation with this storm. We're kind of looking at this area right in here. Following on your screen right now, I'm kind of looking at areas just to the kind of southwest of what looks like Route 49, where we're getting that vibrant of the red over the Shepherd's Mill area. That's where we could have a potential tornado right now. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that off the radar. And we have a few different tools that we can use here. I'm going to see if we have any kind of debris that might be getting lofted into the atmosphere right now. Let me see our tornado debris signature. We've got a lot of warnings on this, so let's go ahead and clean it up. Nothing is standing out too much that we would have any kind of debris lofted into the air, but if there was an area of question, it would be right here around Bridgeton, Upper Deerfield Township, routes 49 and also routes 56. So that's what we're following right now from the National Weather Service. I'm using two different computers just to get an update on the warnings. At this point, I can say that they have not canceled or expired the tornado warning. They've got a lot of ongoing warnings about flash flooding right now, but at this point, no update on that tornado warning. So John and Sarah, you know, we've been looking at these storms. You can clearly see as I zoom on out, we do have a number of severe thunderstorm warnings over parts of Newcastle County, Delaware, Cumberland County, Gloucester, Camden, down into Cumberland County. But that red polygon, of course, is what we're most concerned about.
Brittany, that area where you zoomed in, where there was where we see the most activity, a lot of those communities we're not familiar with, are probably smaller, but are there some larger, more populated areas near there where this truly severe weather and this warning is happening right now?
Yeah, so I would say full disclosure, I haven't been to this part of Cumberland County. I have been to the Millville area. Of course, Millville is going to be the most populated community within that tornado warning right now. But we mentioned some of the towns. You know, this is east of Lower Alloways Creek. So Bridgeton, Cedarville, and also kind of just spanning toward the Millville area. So I'll go ahead and put an update on this, and we'll take off some of the severe thunderstorm warnings just so we can see that tornado warning for itself. And the worst of it is right over Bridgeton right now. So it kind of looks like this cell is taking more of an easterly path. We haven't gotten an update on the approximate area where that severe thunderstorm is capable of producing a tornado warning right now, but we can go ahead and look at some of our radar products again. Again, with the relative velocity, we're looking at the storm movements, green being those winds moving toward the radar site, and red being the winds moving away from the radar site. So I don't see any kind of glaring tornadic signature, but I am concerned about this area that I have focused in on right around Shepherd's Mill, Bowentown, and also Bridgeton, where we're looking at some of these red areas right here. That's where there could be a possible tornado right now. So we're kind of zoomed into a hyper local mode, and you can see some of the roads within that too. I'll go ahead and erase what I just drew on there so you can see things a little bit better. Shepherd's Mill Road, also around Greenrich Road. Looks like North Laurel Street in Bridgeton, South Avenue. This is where there possibly is a tornado right now. I do want to reiterate that we haven't had any confirmation coming in from the National Weather Service, but you do need to treat this as if a tornado is on the ground. I am seeing somewhat of a hook developing here where the winds would be blowing into the storm, and this does confirm that the Bowentown area is looking like the worst possible community right now within the line of this cell that is capable of producing the tornado. So zooming things on out again, we're looking at Bridgeton, getting an update from the National Weather Service. Okay, so far they've allowed the tornado warning to cancel in south central Salem County. So right now the tornado warning continues for just Cumberland County for another 10 minutes. And we didn't get any, here we go, we're getting an update. All right, so the tornadic thunderstorm, which prompted the warning, has moved out of the warned area. This is for Salem County, so that's why they've allowed that to cancel. So let me switch this over, and we'll take the severe thunderstorm warning off just so you can see only the tornado warning. So you'll notice with the update that just came through, this tornado warning is now only for Cumberland County. So anybody that might be listening from Salem County, you're in the all clear right now. The tornado threat is no longer an issue for you, but the tornado threat remains in place until 12:45 for southwestern Cumberland County. The update with the movement of the storm: at 12:34, severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Greenwich or near Bridgeton, moving southeast at 30 miles per hour. And some of the communities would include Millville, Bridgeton, Greenwich, Shiloh, Newport, Fairton, and Cedarville. So John and Sarah, like I said, the tornado threat is no longer in place for Salem County. So that's at least some good news.
As that expired, are there any signs of weakening in the storm, or does it seem to be the same or even strengthening? I mean, about 12:22, when you were showing us on the map the hail, that's right about when the tornado warning went into effect. You've kind of been following this, and you know, it's expanded out, but since that part canceled, does that tell you anything?
You know, it's telling me that the threat isn't in Salem County anymore just because it's moved out of there. But I'd say at this point, just looking at the shape of the radar right now, I would say that the threat hasn't increased or decreased. I would just say that the threat is still there at this point. So hi, everyone. If you're just tuning in with us right now here on Action News, we were giving you your full weather report, and the National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning for parts of New Jersey. Right now, this includes areas in Cumberland County, New Jersey. We're kind of zoomed in on the area right now. You can see it right behind me, but I'm going to stay around the computers here just because the National Weather Service is providing us updates with what we're seeing right now. I'm not seeing any storm reports that are coming in related to this cell here. All of the storm reports have been related to flash flooding at this point, as that continues to be an ongoing concern across our viewing area. I'm still seeing somewhat of broad rotation around the Bridgeton area, and this is the location that they just mentioned within the update of the tornado warning that just came through from the National Weather Service. So where we're looking at this broad rotation, we're looking at the winds and the change in the wind direction right now. The National Weather Service mentioned the Bridgeton area. So that's right in here. It looks like the broad rotation, we're seeing it most just to the south of Bridgeton. So you can see some of the communities here and some of the road names. We have Dutch Neck Road right now. I'd say this is just east of Greenwich Road. You're looking at areas around Shepherd's Mill Road, and then also around Back Neck Road. So anybody that might be living in the Fairton area, this cell is making its way toward you right now, and this is capable of producing a tornado here. So I know we went over it a couple of minutes ago, but safety is really what we're focused on right now. You want to make sure you're seeking shelter. This tornado warning is going to continue at least for another 7 minutes or so. The National Weather Service may decide to extend it. So if you're listening right now and you're in Cumberland County within the area of question of that possible rotating thunderstorm, you want to seek shelter now. You want to go to a basement, a closet, an interior hallway, And what you're really trying to do is put yourself as far away as possible from any kind of glass, any kind of debris. If there is a tornado, even if you're just dealing with straight line winds, the first thing that's going to shatter first is glass and windows. So we want you to get away from windows. Of course, you want to stay indoors. We're seeing a lot of lightning with these storms, and you want to get under a sturdy object, and you want to stay there until this threat is no longer in place. And guys, this is just, one problem that we're dealing with right now. I've been mentioning how we're getting all of these updates from the National Weather Service, and a lot of our viewing areas also dealing with flooding right now in addition to this tornado threat.
Brittany, you've been tracking this for a few days now. We had the AccuWeather alert go into effect actually yesterday. Can you explain to us what's happening with this system and what's going on with the atmosphere right now that makes it so ripe to generate a tornado at the moment?
We just have some spin in the atmosphere right now. We've had a warm front lifting through the area, so anybody that's been outside today, you can kind of just feel how soupy it is. The tornado threat today wasn't exactly high, but I know Peyton, who was doing the morning show this morning, was mentioning that there's just that low-end threat of a tornado. So here we are right now. We've got a little bit of spin in the atmosphere, and that spin is right over parts of South Jersey, specifically into Cumberland County. You can see the polygon on your screen here. That's the tornado warning itself. We can put a 30-minute loop on this so you can see exactly what's happening right now. The red polygon being that tornado, that possible tornado there. So areas in Salem County, we mentioned you're in the clear. I'll give Stowe Creek the clear. Shepherd's Mill, the worst of it, is now moving to your east. But Bridgeton, you are still not in the clear just yet, as this storm could still be producing a tornado. So I want to switch things over, looking at our reflectivity. It looks like our latest scan here showing possible rotation. We've been looking at the movement of the storm. At first it was moving east. Now it's taking more of a southeasterly progression. And I would say right around the Fairton area. If there is a tornado right now, it would be on the ground in Fairton, also in the area of New England Crossroads. Williamstown, you're in the path of this potential rotating storm, and there you can see some of the road names: Backneck Road, Dutch Neck Road, Fairton Goulton Road, Rama Road, and Fairton Millville Road. If there is a tornado right now, this is the spot. This is where we look at different products. You see the radar. You see products like this where we're looking at the thunder and the lightning. You see where we talk about the intensity of the rainfall. But when we look at the relative velocity, that's where we're looking at the storm's movements in terms of wind speed and wind direction. So
yeah, Brittany, what do the colors mean there on the screen when we're seeing the reds, the purples, and the greens? What are those telling you?
So with the greens, we've got the winds going toward the radar beams. And with the red you see on your screen, you have the winds going away. So kind of just think of the colliding winds, and that's where we're getting the funnel and the possible rotation right now. So this is just one of the products that we can look at. We also look at a product called the correlation coefficient. We have this labeled as potential debris. And if there was to be a large damaging tornado, we would see a pop in color here. I'm not seeing that right now. So that's good news. That's an indication that if there were a tornado right now, it's not a violent or strong tornado here. So we're not seeing any kind of strong signature of debris. And it looks like we just got an update because I see an additional tornado warning right now. So let me see if that's come through. At this point, it has not come through from the National Weather Service, but we'll go back to this product and we will take off the severe thunderstorm watch. And here you can see John and Sarah, the National Weather Service. We haven't gotten the actual information just yet, but it looks like they've extended the tornado warning a bit farther east through Cumberland County, also now into Cape May County and also Atlantic County. So that is until 1:30 there. So that is a new update from the National Weather Service.
With those polygons, does it look like perhaps the storm might be shifting direction just a tad bit north? It looks like it's kind of, with that second polygon, it's a little bit north of the first.
Yeah, I think they're probably just, trying to give themselves a little bit of a buffer. With a tornado, if there is a tornado on the ground, it's not going to follow a straight line. It's gonna wobble. It's gonna move. So I think they're giving a little bit of buffer on each side. The wording that just came through for the tornado warning. 12:42, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Fairton or near Bridgeton, moving southeast at 30 miles per hour. So they're still looking at the same movement right now. It hasn't gone more easterly or more southerly. It's still moving southeast at 30 miles per hour. Some of the locations included Vineland, Millville, Bridgeton, Cumberland, Laurel Lake, Estelle Manor. And there you can just see where we kind of cleared things out on the western side of Cumberland County. And what I can do here, let's go ahead and put our own tracker on this just to get some of the latest information with this cell. And we know it's moving southeast. You can see the tornado warning is until 1:30, so we'll be on the air until the threat is no longer an issue, and also up to 1-inch diameter hail. So let's go ahead and put a little tracker on this, moving southeast at about 30 miles per hour. And here we can see a few other locations. There's a pretty long list that the National Weather Service sent out. So we're looking at 12:53 around Center Grove, 1 o'clock in Baileytown, Laurel Lake at 1:03. 107 in Haleyville, 110 in Bricksboro, and 113 in Hesstown.
Which has popped up north of there.
Yeah, a new polygon.
Yeah, new polygon. Sorry, I was looking. So we use a messaging service with the National Weather Service, and it looks like it just came through. So let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit for you. And we'll move this back over to our warning mode, and we'll just kind of get rid of the severe thunderstorm warnings so we can see things a little bit better. So yes, we do have two areas right now that are under a tornado warning. We've been focusing on the area there in Cumberland County, Atlantic County, and also Cape May County. But we also just got this new tornado warning. This one is until 1:15 this afternoon, and this is for Gloucester County, Camden County, and Atlantic County, and we are speaking about the state of New Jersey right now for anybody that might just be tuning in. At 12:45, a severe thunderstorm, or excuse me, multiple severe thunderstorms capable of producing both tornadoes and extensive straight line wind damage were located over Victory Lakes, or 11 miles north of Vineland, moving southeast at 30 miles per hour. Some of the locations with this new tornado warning include Hamilton, Weymouth, Victory Lakes, Mays Landing, Elwood Magnolia, Folsom, and Collings Lake, New Jersey. So we do currently have, let's see here, we have about 6 counties currently under tornado warnings right now. So let's take a look at this cell here. And just like the National Weather Service said, there are a number of severe thunderstorms. There's a number of thunderstorms moving through this general area here. And we can look at the storm relative velocity. Okay, so, with this, we're not exactly seeing the same rotation. Kind of distinguishing these cells here. We've been looking at the storm relative velocity for the storm motions. I'd say the cell down in that move from Salem County into Cumberland County, this is showing more of a tornadic signature when it comes to what we look at with the change in wind speeds. The first thing I see when I look at this area to the north where they just issued a tornado warning, I'm not exactly seeing that rotation. What I'm seeing with that bright banding of red is straight line wind potential. So, I think that they're doing what they need to do to warn people of a potential tornado with that cell. But right now, I would say the northern cell looks more like a straight line wind concern that's moving through parts of Gloucester, Camden, and also Atlantic counties.
Brittany, I would imagine anybody in these areas needs to take this very seriously, take cover, and we're even watching as we're approaching, getting ever closer to the Garden State Parkway there as this system is moving through.
Absolutely. And when we talk about tornado warnings, we'll put them back up on the screen for you here. There's always the misconception that you just want to pull over onto the side of the road, or you want to pull under an underpass. That's actually the worst place you can be, because you can create a backlog on the roads. And oftentimes, if there is a tornado, when it comes to a highway and being in an underpass, you're actually going to have wind speeds accelerating under that. So that puts you in a more dangerous situation. It also puts the people behind you in a very dangerous situation too. So anybody that might just be joining us now here on 6ABC, I believe we were around 12:20, 12:25 when we were doing our main weather forecast, and we continued our coverage because a tornado warning was issued. At this point, we have two different tornado warnings. We have one to the south here that includes Cumberland County, Atlantic County, and also Cape May County. That's until 1:30 this afternoon. And then we also have this additional tornado warning that just came in from the National Weather Service that includes parts of let me scroll back up here. This includes parts of Gloucester County, Camden County, and also Atlantic County, New Jersey. So we'll go back ahead and look at a few different things here. In addition to the tornado warnings, we have severe thunderstorm warnings that go all the way to the Jersey Shore right now. So although you might not be under a tornado warning, if you're in Atlantic City, if you're in Brigantine, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning. So now would be the safe time for everybody to just get into their safe location, as these storms have had a history of producing a lot of lightning and also flooding downpours.
Brittany, that's a very large area under a tornado warning at the moment as we look at our viewing area.
Well, right now, not everybody's under a viewing area here. I kind of just wanted to get our bearings with what's happening. I mentioned the fact that even if you're not within the tornado warning, we have so many storm reports coming in of flash flooding. But I also want you to note that we have just a tremendous amount of lightning. We've had reports of lightning that have hit some structures. You can see our current lightning strike count, 269 lightning strikes. So, you know, we don't just have a tornado threat right now. We also have an ongoing threat of flash flooding and also lightning too.
And you'd also mentioned the straight line winds. Those could be just as dangerous as tornadic activity as well.
Absolutely. I mean, 60, 70 mile per hour straight line winds, all going the same direction, that can do just as much damage as a tornado warning. So I'm going back here to look at the storm relative velocity and where that tornado warning is. I mean, this, to me, this just looks like a wall of wind that's moving its way through Gloucester County, Camden County, and down toward the Atlantic and Salem County area. I do still see some broad rotation right now. This is within the area of around Millville, and it looks like we are getting an update from the National Weather Service. So Paul, I know you kind of just jumped in here. Just let me know when you want to take control of the mouse so we're both not trying to do the same thing at once. Okay, if you want to grab the mouse, John and Sarah, I'm going to send it to you for 1 second just so I can get the iPad so we can keep getting that information.
Now, if you're just joining us, we have been on the air here since about 12:22 with these warnings. We've watched at least 3 warnings pop up, all in South Jersey, warning of possible tornadoes moving through. And as Brittany has been showing us, she is seeing some signatures in this polygon here in the Millville area of a possible tornado. The one to the north, she was seeing more of a straight line wind effect. Either way, you need to take these seriously. This is a dangerous situation for all these communities here in these zones in South Jersey right now.
And while we've been focused on the tornado warnings, much of the area, as Brittany has been saying, is under thunderstorm warnings as well. And she's getting all kinds of reports of flash flooding, water rescues. This system moved through Chester County, Delaware County, but the most severe weather at this moment centered there, Brittany, in South Jersey.
You're right about that, guys. And we're getting, let's see, we got another update. So Paul, let's stay on the cell here for Cape May County, Atlantic County, and also Cumberland County. We just got an update from the National Weather Service, so they are continuing the tornado warning until 1:30 for southwestern Atlantic, southeastern Cumberland, and also northwestern Cape May counties. At this point, they have not put any kind of statement out suggesting that a tornado has been visually confirmed. So at this point, this is radar indicated, meaning that the capabilities are there. There is twisting and turning within the atmosphere right now. That's why we were looking at different radar products to see any kind of debris that's being wafted in the air. But at this point, no visual confirmation coming in from the National Weather Service regarding that cell there. So that's the update with the southern tornado warning that we've been watching. You can see it's moving southeast still. At about 30 miles per hour. We put some communities on the screen for you. 102 in the Baileytown area, 107 in Commercial Township, 111 in Port Norris, Dorchester at 114, Heislerville 116, and 121 in Delmont. So if you're just joining us now, we've been on the air for a little while now covering this tornado threat that we've been watching here in southern New Jersey, specifically the cell that we've been watching down in Cumberland County. So you can see here we're highlighting this hyperlocal just so we can get some more communities on the map. You can see the Center Grove area here. We have Newport Road, Cedarville Road, Rama Road that intersects. Working your way to the east, we have Buckshuston Road, Narrow Lane Road. Continuing our way toward the Laurel Lake area, Clark's Mill, you can see some of the we have Route 47 right here, State Route 55, and also Route 49. If you are tuning in right now, you want to make sure you are seeking shelter as this is a dangerous storm with the potential of producing a tornado. And, you know, we've been looking at this different product here, the relative velocity, looking at the movements of the wind, with the wind going toward the radar and away from the radar. When you start to get that notching close together, this would be broad rotation. So if there is going to be a tornado on the ground right now, we're looking for Center Grove and points on east. So from Newport Road on east toward Narrow Lane Road, that is where we could have a tornado at this moment. So I'd say, Paul, looking at the two different cells, to me the southern storm looked more like the storm that was capable of producing a tornado. We also have the cell to the north that the National Weather Service issued a tornado warning for. The update on that is until 1:15 this afternoon for northwestern Atlantic County, south central Camden County, and southeastern Gloucester counties. Within this area, if there's a tornado right now, you're not going to see it. Paul, if we flip over to the reflectivity, well, that also tells a story. Look at the rainfall rates right now. I mean, if there's a tornado happening, nobody's going to see it. It's going to be rain wrapped. We have rainfall rates right now close to 3 inches per hour. When you start seeing all of these whites popping up across New Jersey, if there is a tornado right now, you are not going to see it. Do not look out your window. Do not try and go outside and get video. You want to be in a safe location, because if there is a tornado, nobody's going to see it. Look at all of the lightning that's out there right now. We've been talking about the tornado threats, but we've also been talking about storms that have been moving through parts of Chester County and Delaware County, where there have been reports of buildings hit by lightning. So we always say, I know it sounds cliche, when thunder roars, go indoors. You want to make sure you are indoors, as there is a cluster of strong thunderstorms that are capable of producing a tornado. So it looks like we're going to put a tracker on this to the southeast at about 30 miles per hour. So that'll give us some additional communities in the path of the cell here. 101, you're looking at Weymouth, so that's in 3 minutes. We have 109 in Egg Harbor City. Galloway Township at about 115, Egg Harbor 119, Pleasantville 123, and if this cell makes its way all the way toward the shore, this would include the Atlantic City area at about 131. So just looking on here to see if we have any additional updates, I'd say that's Paul, I know you're kind of behind the wall right now. Looks like we could have some pretty decent straight line wind damage with this as it's moving its way to the southeast there.
Yes, you can see the bow right through here.
Yeah, so I used the word before, kind of a wall of wind that's working its way through New Jersey. Farther south, it looks like we still do have a pretty good radar signature for a possible tornado, but to me this looks more like straight line wind damage. And we talk about with straight line winds how that can do just as much damage as a tornado. Doesn't look like we have any additional updates right now, so the National Weather Service is continuing their tornado warnings. You can see the one there in Cumberland County, through Cape May County, and also into Atlantic County. And then we have that second tornado warning until 1:15 just to the north of that there.
Brittany, the fact that this is still up till 1:30, does that tell you that this is holding together, this system, it's not weakening?
Like I said, I think that they're kind of giving themselves a little bit of cushion. There has been some uncertainty with the storms. Yesterday when we were looking at this, we thought that all of this would have been offshore by now. So the storms have had a slower progression. They haven't been moving as fast as anticipated. So I think that they're leaving that window of opportunity open with the timing as these cells continue to move their way to the east. So yeah, I think we should stay on this cell here, Paul, around the Millville area. Looks like Laurel Lake would be a location that is of concern right now with this possible storm producing a tornado, and we would be kind of looking at this area right in here around Laurel Lake. If we could maybe put the relative velocity on to look at some of the rotation here. Now you can kind of see the storm that's to the north. That's kind of showing that wall of wind that I was mentioning. But the actual rotation itself with the southern storm, again, we're looking for the green and the red close together to show where that potential tornado would be. So right around the area of Laurel Lake. Maybe we can zoom in a little bit more to get some of the communities. You can see some of the major roads that intersect that area. We've been mentioning Route 47 and also Route 55, I believe. And there you can see a few more towns that are populating here. So we've been looking around Laurel Lake, also Baileytown, Buckshottam, Commercial Township, and Lors Mill. So we are at least getting some broad rotation here with this southern storm.
Why don't we add a track to this again?
Yeah. All right, so there's a few more communities that we just put on here. This warning is until 1:30. The National Weather Service could continue it a little bit longer, so you can see some additional towns on the screen here. Commercial Township, also the area around Dorchester, Eldora, getting into Dennis Township, Cedar Springs, and by 147, Sea Isle City. So we're starting to see some of our shore communities within the path of this cell that could be rotating.
Brittany, if people don't have, I know you've been giving those tips on what to do. If people don't have a basement, some of these are pretty rural areas. There might be mobile homes or that sort of thing, or people that don't have basements. Where would you suggest that they go?
So we were going over some of the tips, and we mentioned that the thing that you really want to do is avoid windows. If you're dealing with a tornado or even the straight line winds, the windows are going to break first. So if you don't have a basement to get to, you want to get into an interior room. So we talk about going to the bathroom. I've had people in the past tell me that they've watched our tornado warnings from in their bathtub. That's a place you can be. If you have a closet, if you have a pantry, you just want to put yourself in the most interior room of your home and stay there until that tornado threat is no longer in place. If you can get under a sturdy object, that's also a good thing. It's a good thing that we recommend people do. And I mentioned before, you know, we were on the air with our noon broadcast. Excuse me. If you need to get into your safe location right now, you can download the 6ABC app. Hopefully you have it on your phone and you can live stream, and you'll continue to see this coverage on the tornado threat that is ongoing in South Jersey. So we did get an update from the National Weather Service on the cell here. Actually, we have two different updates coming in, so let me jump out of that.
I'm coming over to talk to you.
Okay, I will welcome that. Before you talk to me, I think so they've allowed the tornado warning to cancel you can stay on screen. The tornado warning for South Central Camden and Southeastern Gloucester counties is canceled, so that's an update.
So another member of your weather team suggested that I ask you the following, about the polygon shape going out like a fan. This is Cecily. It's sort of a cone of uncertainty. Although the cell is moving a certain speed in a certain direction right now, tornadoes are known to skip around a lot, change direction, speed, lift up, touch down. They're really difficult to predict. True?
Right. That is true. I think John asked.
I'm not going to say Cecily's wrong.
Yeah. I think John asked it a while ago, like, oh, are they going to make the warning go this way, or why is it still going that way? If there's a tornado, it's not going to follow a line like we would be walking in a straight line ourselves. As Cecily mentioned, tornadoes do wobble. They can lift up, they can lift back down. So I always mention the polygon kind of gives some room for error if a tornado does happen and you do get a little bit of that wobbling.
You said giving people a heads up.
Absolutely.
So they can have time to get into a sheltered place and out of the harm's way.
Yep, exactly. So it looks like the tornado warning for South Central Camden and Southeastern Gloucester counties is canceled. So Paul, maybe just to kind of get our bearings, we can show the warnings right now. And we should have, I'm thinking, just one polygon left on the screen at this point. Okay, maybe it.
Yeah, they just trimmed that one.
Okay, so they trimmed it.
They just trimmed it, yeah.
Okay. So the southern one still is until 1:30 this afternoon, and then the northern cell, we're still looking at that threat until 1:15, I believe.
1-inch size hail, that's significant too as well?
For this area, yeah. I mean, already today we've had some smaller hail reports coming through parts of Berks County, pea-size hail, so about 1/4 of an inch. We were watching this cell during the noon show and I was doing Maine weather. This looks like it did have a history of producing greater than 1-inch size hail, and you've just been able to kind of follow those hail tracks with the severe thunderstorm as it moved its way through Salem County. We've been watching that southeastern progression there through the Bridgeton area, and it's still producing up to 1-inch diameter hail.
Brittany, they want me to ask you as well. Can you recap what areas exactly are under the tornado warning right now?
Yeah. So Paul, let's go ahead and put the polygons back on the screen. There's a lot of different warnings right now. It's even hard to, I can see all these flash flood warnings that are coming up, so that's why I was trying to clean up the radar a little bit, and that's what Paul's trying to do too, just so we can see things better. So here you can see the tornado warning that we've really been seeing the rotation with in Cumberland County, also into parts of Cape May County and into Atlantic County there. And then on the northern side, that's where we continue the tornado warning as well for parts of, let me see here, Atlantic County.
It looks like the wind with the one here in Atlantic County is very impressive, like you were saying earlier, the straight line wind damage.
Yeah, for sure. You know, we've been watching the cell to the south, and that one has been a little bit more impressive when we're looking for that rotation in the atmosphere. I really can just say this looks like a wall of wind. As you can see, this bright red banding kind of just working its way over Route 40 here, just now around Millville, also toward Estelle Manor. That's where we are looking at those strong wind speeds. So although this might not be showing that spin in the atmosphere that we've been seeing with the southern storm, this is a big time wind maker, and chances are they're getting torrential downpours right now with this, also a lot of lightning. So although this is a tornado warning, I'd say this is going to be a big time wind producer here moving through New Jersey.
Some of these, we had said before, are smaller communities, but not all of them. We're getting into some pretty populated areas, Vineland, Egg Harbor, as we move even closer to a threat toward Atlantic City. Yeah,
absolutely. Paul's kind of highlighting this area here around 322, not too far away from the Atlantic City Expressway. So I can only imagine what it looks like on the highway right now as this area of wind and rain moves its way toward the Mace Landing area. You can see some of the routes in play here. Route 49. I mentioned Route 322, also Route 40 there, as we watch this storm that is capable of producing a tornado.
It would be blinding conditions right now on the AC Expressway.
Absolutely, yeah, blinding rainfall. And we'll have to see whether or not they continue this as a tornado warning or if they kind of revert to a severe thunderstorm warning with their latest update.
If there is any kind of rotation, it's probably somewhere just north of Mays Landing in this area here.
Yeah. Maybe we can zoom in a little bit more and get a few more roads or communities in there.
Again, the variation in color indicates that rotation.
Yeah, the brighter the colors together, the better chance that there is a rotating storm with the change in wind speed and wind direction. So as Paul mentioned, Mays Landing and also 322, if there were to be a tornado, that would be the area that we would be looking at in question at this point.
And it looks like the AC Expressway right in the bullseye if this keeps moving that way?
If it keeps moving that way, yeah. We've been watching these storms kind of moving their way to the south and east. So, you know, the AC Expressway is kind of on the fringe of that cell there. So how about we put an updated tracker on this, and you can see a few more communities that just came up here. We have 118 in McKee City, Egg Harbor around 126, Pleasantville 133 and 137 in West Atlantic City. As Sarah was mentioning, we've been talking a lot about some of the smaller communities, but we're getting into a more populated area here, more roads that are traveled by a lot of people. So if you do find yourself, maybe you're getting ready to head to work or you have to go pick up the kids from school, wait until there is no longer the threat for a tornado here.
I don't want to take you off of this, but also other parts of the region are dealing with serious issues right now at the moment, right?
Yeah, you know, honestly, I'm using an iPad here, and it is so hard to just get the information about the tornado warnings because there are so many reports coming in of flash flooding right now. Earlier, when I was doing our main weather forecast, we had a flash flood warning in Chester County that had wording of considerable damage. You can see that that is now the case south of Philadelphia too. So some areas are dealing with the threat of tornadoes. Others are dealing with water rescues right now. Just a tremendous amount of rain has been coming down over the past, let's say, 2 hours here. You can see some of the radar estimates of 3 inches of rain within about 1 to 2 hours. You can also see up into some of the northwestern suburbs over 2 to 3 inches of rain per hour. So this is kind of a twofold situation, if you will, where there is the flooding concern and then also the concern for a tornado. And it looks like Paul stepped out of the way here. You can even see some of the rain reports, radar estimated of potentially over 4 inches of rain in Burlington County. A tremendous amount of rain. And you also have to remember the fact that some of these areas picked up 2 to 4 inches of rain just within the past couple of days.
Is there a lot of lightning associated with all this too? You said that some buildings have been struck.
Still a lot of lightning with this. Paul, maybe we can pop the reflectivity on. So there you can see the flash flood warnings over the I-95 corridor, and then you can see all of these thunderstorms. now moving mostly through New Jersey. So if you're tuning in from Philly, Wilmington, the northwestern suburbs, the worst of it is now out of the picture for you as we continue to watch these storms as they work their way to the east.
Also, Brittany, I want to note so many of these rivers, we've had so much rain as of late. I mean, I drive by the Schuylkill, it was already high. This is going to make this quite a dicey situation.
Oh yeah, especially, you know, it's been a cumulative effect with the rainfall in our area. We've had rain multiple days, but when you're talking about several inches of rain within 1 hour or 2 hours, that's when you really get the rapid rise in the streams and the creeks and even some of our major rivers. I haven't had the chance to click on any of the flooding reports that are coming through, but I'm sure without a doubt that we do have some streams and creeks that are probably overflowing their banks at this point. And you can see some of the rainfall rates Paul is putting up here from Cumberland County really into parts of Burlington County. We've got those rainfall rates 2 to 3 inches per hour right now.
You said some areas up to close to 5 inches of rain.
Possibly has fallen. That was radar estimated. So yeah, I think it would be a good idea to go back to our tornado warnings to see if any updates have come in. Let's see here. Paul, I don't know if you've seen it come through on Slack yet. Has the Gloucester Camden one expired and it just hasn't cleared from our system yet? Or am I thinking that just part of the county was trimmed?
I have not seen that come through yet.
Okay.
It should be in the next minute or so here. Let's see.
All right, so what we're doing right now is one of our tornado warnings.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, so we have just one tornado warning now. The National Weather Service did allow the northern tornado warning to expire. So Camden and Gloucester counties, you're not clear from the thunderstorms just yet, but you are clear from that tornado threat. So currently the only tornado warning that is in play right now continues to be over parts of Cumberland County into Atlantic County and also here into Cape May County. So there you can see the reflectivity showing us the intensity of the rainfall. Maybe we can put the reflectivity, or excuse me, the storm relative velocity back on to see if there's anything noticeable. It's a little hard to see it from this perspective. Can we zoom out a little bit? Okay. It doesn't look...
This looks like our initial bit, but that was a little while ago, and now
it is looking weaker.
It's looking better now.
Yeah. But of course, you know, we're not going to give it the all clear until the National Weather Service gives it the all clear. So we will continue to stay on the air tracking this thunderstorm that is capable of producing a tornado. We'd be looking kind of south of the Millville area right now for any possible spin up that might be out there.
So why don't we track this down to the coast?
Right. Okay. It almost looks like the storms are somewhat like blossoming in its own way, almost somewhat becoming stationary there. So there you can see the latest track that we just put on all the way to the coast. So right now, Delmont, it's right over you. 124 in Dennis Township, 128 in Upper Township, 136 in Sea Isle City, Townsend's Inlet 138, and 142 in Avalon. So we are looking at some of our shore locations here should this thunderstorm continue to hold together with the capabilities of producing a tornado.
I guess why don't we check out the one up in Atlantic County and see how the winds are.
Paul, are there any Sky 6s from up that way that we have that we could look at?
Nothing in the immediate area unless we have Atlantic City and stuff will all be looking along the coast, not west.
The wrong direction.
To me, a lot of this still looks like just straight line winds, Paul, moving through Cumberland County. We've been talking about that wall of wind where we have just kind of this defined area where this red is just really going its way through Cumberland and also throughout parts of Atlantic County. It looks like this is producing damaging wind gusts, just looking at this from our standpoint. But of course, we'll stay on the air until the National Weather Service deems it's not a tornado threat, but this looks like more of a straight line wind concern. And given the fact that we've had so much rain, not just ongoing with these storms right now, given the fact that we've had so much rain in the last couple of days, if we do end up with storms with 50, even 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, it's not going to take a lot for trees to come down. The roots right now are just soaked from all of the rain this week. So even if this isn't a tornado, this could do a lot of damage with trees coming down and power outages because of that. And Brittany, we are starting to get some viewer images coming in, like from areas like Westchester. Okay. With some serious flooding, like up to the first floor in some homes. Yeah, you know, when I started my main weather forecast around 12:20, the first thing I hit on was the fact that there were multiple water rescues in the Westchester area. So we've been talking about this being kind of a twofold situation. Some areas dealing with a tornado threat, while a lot of areas are dealing with a flooding threat. All right, so no current update yet from the National Weather Service. So we're going to keep tracking these thunderstorms. 119 right now in Egg Harbor, Pleasantville 124, Atlantic City 133, and Brigantine around 135. I also just want to note, Paul, maybe we can do kind of a DMA view just to show people how much lightning there is right now. I know we're kind of just focused on South Jersey here, but there's also a lot of lightning with these storms itself. So there you can see really the focus of the severe thunderstorms and the flooding right now is over South Jersey. That's not to say that there's not flooding going on back this way. There's a lot of problems in our western suburbs, but right now, just a lot of lightning. This is over the past, Paul, 15 minutes, right?
Yes.
Over the past 15 minutes, we've had over 200 lightning strikes. So we've been talking about how with these storms, with the possibility of being a tornado outside, if there were to be a tornado today, nobody's going to see it. It's going to be rain wrapped just because we have so much rain out there right now. I mean, these are blinding downpours. They're producing flooding in several different counties. So really your safest option is to just be indoors if you can here as these storms kind of work their way toward the coast. So anybody that might be watching at the Jersey Shore from Wildwood to Cape May, even up through LBI, you're not exactly in the path of a tornado right now, but these storms mean business. They're producing a lot of rain, a lot of lightning. Outside is not where you want to be right now. I know you'd been talking about how you thought the system would move through really quickly. Yeah. Is it stalling out a little bit at this point? It's not exactly you said blossoming. Yeah, I mean, the storms have definitely been blossoming. What we were watching is what we call an MCS system. So it's kind of a cluster of thunderstorms that were moving from around the Chicago area last night. And the big question is, from a meteorology standpoint, are they going to hold together when it goes through the overnight hours? You lose that daytime heating element. A lot of times we see storms weaken at night. This did weaken some, but as it got closer to our area this morning, it actually kind of re-blossomed as it moved toward Philadelphia. So even during the noon hour, I wasn't going to show the future tracker because none of the models were initializing correctly. And the National Weather Service actually just updated expiring the tornado warning here. So the tornado threat has diminished and the tornado warning will be allowed to expire. However, damaging winds remain likely and a severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect for the area. So, Paul, at this point, I would say we're safe to kind of give it an all clear. Correct me if I'm wrong. Or should we wait until?
Let's wait till 1:30 and just we can recap everything here real quickly.
Okay, so we're gonna wait a few more minutes before we go back to regularly scheduled programming. But the National Weather Service did say that this area no longer is giving a tornado threat. They are going to continue to watch for the severe thunderstorm potential as it works its way toward the coast. But we can say at this point the tornado threat has been allowed to expire here in South Jersey. So there you can see the relative velocity at this point, still just kind of showing those damaging straight line winds as we watch it move its way south of Millville and also into parts of Atlantic County. So the wall of wind we've been referring to, heads up Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
This is headed your way probably within the next 30 or so minutes. Even areas like Morris River there, Upper Township, the Garden State Parkway. If you don't have to be outside, this would be a good afternoon to stay indoors.
Yeah, our producer is telling me, Brittany, that there are people on the boardwalk right now, that this would be a time, if you know somebody who's down there, to get inside and take shelter.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, I mean, Paul just circled this area here. Although the storms look like they're weakening in some fashion, they're still bringing the threat of considerable wind damage. And I mentioned a short time ago how much rain we've had the last couple of days. It's not going to take a lot for strong winds to just knock some trees down because of how wet it's been.
Yeah, definitely a very good sign that you see those real bright reds are starting to fade away from where we saw them before.
All right, so like we mentioned, the tornado warning is no longer in effect. Someone just get in my ear if we need to wrap things up in a moment, but okay. The tornado threat is no longer out there, but now we continue to monitor the flash flooding. I mean, this is a number of counties within our viewing area, from Montgomery through Bucks County, Chester County, right down into New Jersey. And, you know, Sarah, I was mentioning the fact I was so focused on all the tornado warnings. There are just so many considerable flash flood damage things in from the National Weather Service.
You said some water rescues, but also lightning damage hitting some structures out here, like the western suburbs. It sounds like dealing with quite a bit of flooding.
Yeah, we've been talking about the Westchester area. I'm trying to see if there's some additional information coming in from the National Weather Service here.
Maybe just about how much rain they got. It's a lot.
Absolutely, yeah. So one of the emergency management officials, the Andorra section of Philadelphia, Ivy Ridge, several large tree branches down across the Ivy Ridge and Andorra section of Philadelphia. We're getting flash flooding in parts of Camden County, road closures around Atlantic Avenue, numerous trees down in Canes Mill Road section of Collings Lake. So I anticipate a lot of the reports that are going to be coming in here within probably the next hour or so are going to be related to flooding, water rescues, and any reports of trees down.
This is where the system's moving right now toward the boardwalk.
So this is a live look in Atlantic City right now, and it's kind of the calm before the storm, if you will, before it arrives here on the boardwalk. I'm not seeing anybody walking around.
That's good.
So that's good news. Paul, maybe we could go back to a DMA view of the radar just so we can kind of show people what we're talking about here. So although the tornado threat has ended, the flash flooding threat has not ended, and also there are still some strong thunderstorms out here. Do we have any severe thunderstorm warnings that are ongoing that maybe we can show? And just bear with us, it's a lot of clicking around and going into different products to get things to populate on the screen here. So this is going to show all of the active warnings at this point. So he cleaned off, that expired, so ignored the tornado warning. It just hasn't cleared our system yet. So the orange polygons that you're seeing here, those are the ongoing severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect.
I'm interested too, Brittany, in the flash flood warnings. Those are like till 4:30 later in the. So this water still has to go somewhere. So we could be dealing with that throughout the afternoon.
Absolutely, the water's got to go somewhere, and you also have to consider the fact that, say, 2 to 4 inches of rain dumped on streams and creeks and rivers, that's going to start rising. So the question is how quickly do they go over their banks, and you start to see those lingering problems.
Yeah, that's a cumulative effect, though.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mentioned it's probably half of the counties in our viewing area right now are under a flash flood warning, and south of Philadelphia here into parts of Gloucester and Camden counties, the flash flood threat is considerable right now. And Paul, maybe we can show the severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued into southeastern Cumberland and Cape May counties. So this is the same area that we were watching with that tornado warning. The tornado warning has expired. It just hasn't cleared our system just yet. But with the severe thunderstorm warnings that are working their way toward the shore, they're looking at the potential of 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and up to quarter-size hail is possible with that. So you do still want to seek shelter. One of the products he was just showing how it has the potential of producing hail, but at this point, this is going to be more of a heavy rainmaker and a strong wind producer as this moves its way toward the shore here. So we're going to put a tracker on to look at some of the updated locations within this. And there you can see Ocean City by 129 and Atlantic City by 134. We also just got a flash flood warning that was issued for Ocean and also Burlington counties. So even though the tornado threat has ended at this point, we continue to deal with a number of problems out there.
Brittany, we have about 40 seconds left before we're going to come off the air and go to break. Can you just give us a recap of what has unfolded over about the last hour or so?
Yeah, over the last hour or so, we had two different tornado warnings. We did see some broad rotation down in Cumberland County, but at this point, a big time flash flood threat.
All right, so keep an eye on 6abc.com throughout the afternoon. Download the app. This system is still moving through. Make sure you take shelter if needed. I'm Sarah Bloomquist along with superstar meteorologist Brittany Boyer. Have a great afternoon. We're going to send you now to GMA3 already in progress.